Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Moksha. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you, ma'am?
I'm also good. So, Moksha, you have left some questions in the answer sheet.
Yes, ma'am. Time is insufficient.
So, 3 hours were not sufficient?
I did in the last minutes, ma'am.
Oh, that was the reason actually.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, Arav.
Good afternoon. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Sumant. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Dhara. Okay, children, turn on the videos now. Arav, Moksha, Ayunija, Sumuk, and Dhara, turn on the video.
One minute.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, Sumuk, turn on the video.
Ma'am, I sent you a message in the chat. WhatsApp.
No, I did. Okay, what's up? Okay. Okay, so today in the class, we will be discussing and we'll be learning about the next topic, which is about the placenta and about the menstruation also. So, in the last class, we discussed about the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system, right? So, the different parts of it, the different functions of the different parts we have discussed. Now, these two, the male and female, are very, very important, right? As like if you want to reproduce, if you want to continue our species, they're important. Now, once the sexual intercourse is happening, sexual intercourse means sex only. So, once the sexual intercourse is happening between male and female, it will result in the formation of the zygote. Right? The zygote will be formed, and the process when the male and female gametes they come together, they fuse together, that is called as fertilization. So now, once the fertilization is done, the zygote will be formed, and once the zygote is formed, then it can divide into several times and form the embryo. But then the question is, every time does it form it? Every time does the fertilization happens? Because maybe as a couple, as a male and female, they will be doing sexual intercourse maybe in a week twice, in a week thrice, and all. So every time I think they should get fertilized, they should get conceived, right? But this is not happening. So only sometime if they wanted to have a child, only during that time, what the male will be doing, they will be ejaculating the sperm into the body of female. And if they do not ready, if they are not ready, see, in this condition, both have to be ready. The male also and the female also has to be ready. And financially also they have to be stable, because if the child comes on the earth, then there are like so many of expenditures are there, right? So in that case, both have to be financially strong, also mentally also they should prepare. And if they are okay with that, then they can have the sexual intercourse pair. The male can release a sperm into the female's body. And now it depends upon the female's body whether that sperms are caliber to move inside the egg or not. So millions of sperms will be there, but out of those millions, one will be able to reach or not. That is also depending upon the body of that female. But nowadays, what is happening? I think you might have heard about the PCOD, PCOS. Have you heard that?
No,
Any one of
ma'am.
you? No. Dhriti, have you ever heard that, Ionisha?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Right. So in that case, what happened? The quantity of the fat or the amount of the fat in the body of the female, especially in the part of the uterus, increases. So because of that, the fertilization chances decrease in them. And that is why the doctors will be, first of all, giving them the medicine. They will be saying, take the medicines for some duration and then come again during the next menstrual cycle. So those medicine, what they will be doing, they will be reducing that layer of the fat and that whatever the system that is, they will be reducing it, and then they will be asking to do the sexual intercourse during that menstrual time. So why now they ask to do the sexual intercourse during the third or the fourth or the fifth day of the menstrual cycle? It is because during that time the power of conceiving increases, and especially at the 12th day, basically, or the 13th day, it increases. So that is the reason they will be asking. Fine. So then only the egg will become fertilized, and from the egg the zygote will be formed after fertilization, and ultimately the embryo will be formed. So that is how the process will be happening. Now once the embryo is formed, the different parts will be there depending upon the month and the week of that, the lady. So you might have heard she is in the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So all those things are basically the duration of the 3 months. So first trimester means starting 3 months. Second trimester, next 3 months. It means fourth, fifth, sixth, and the last trimester, which is third trimester, which is the six, seven, no, seven, eight, nine. It will be 7, 8, 9. These are the last third trimester. So during this time, the mother actually will be carrying, or the child will be actually in the uterus, right? In the womb. Uterus is also called as a womb, as it's told in the last class also. So that child or the baby or the fetus will be there in that womb, and that child will be generally in the kind of a disc-like structure, which is called as a placenta.
Good
So
evening.
placenta, good evening, Abhinav. So
Ma'am,
placenta,
aren't
yeah,
we
tell me.
having English exam?
You have actually,
So
you
classes,
have.
exam and
No,
everything.
yeah, actually, see, science was a very, very important, the exams. That is why we gave off. And English, I think you can maybe do before or you can do maybe later also. So that is the reason we did not give you off. And moreover, yesterday the math class did not happen also, right? So we cannot give continuously off also. So we will be where placenta. So that mother will be carrying the child in a disc, like in a tissue-like structure, which is called as a placenta. And this placenta is very, very important actually. So what the placenta, that structure will be doing,
Ma'am,
that, yeah, tell me.
what are we going to cover today?
Placenta, we are discussing about the placenta, and then we will be discussing about the menstrual cycle also.
That's it. Only those two topics for today, right?
If yeah, I think, and then most probably reproductive health, a little part of that also we'll be discussing.
So I'll just listen to the recording.
Okay, fine. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. So in that case, that placenta, what will be doing? They will be actually connecting the mother and the fetus together through a cord. What is the name of that cord? There's a cord actually connecting the mother, through which the child will be passing the waste material into the mother's blood, and the mother will be giving the nutrient to the child through that cord. That cord is called as the umbilical cord. Fine. So through that umbilical cord, the exchange of the things will be there, because the child also releases the waste material, and that material cannot be inside that covering, that placenta, because if that material is there in the placenta only, the placenta will get full because of that waste material, and the child cannot breathe further. So that is why all the waste material will be removed through umbilical cord into the blood of that mother, and then through that umbilical cord only they will be getting the nutrients, also various kind of the glucose also the child will be getting. So that is what the placenta is, and it is very, very important for the 3-mark question. Every year or most of the year, they are asking, what is placenta? Explain the structure of it. Fine. So let me share the screen. I hope my screen is visible, children. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So fertilization, the sperm enters through the vagina passage during the intercourse, and they will be going up and they will be reaching the oviduct. And oviduct is a place, or the fallopian tube is a place where the fertilization will be happening. And if the egg is fertilized, then child will be conceived. And if the egg is not fertilized, in that case, the menstrual cycle will occur. And that is why, I asked you in the beginning itself. So if a person, if a male and female is having the sex every day, then does it mean the mother will be getting pregnant every day? No. It is because actually the fertilization is important. Until unless the egg is not fusing with the sperm, the fertilization cannot happen. And instead, if this fertilization is not happening, in that case, the menstrual cycle has to occur after every 28 days. So once the fertilization is done, then the zygote will be formed. The fertilized egg is called a zygote, will start dividing and gets implanted in the lining of the uterus. Now, exactly now where it gets implanted, here in this part, in the uterus part, in the lining of this uterus part, it will get implanted. Nowadays, what is happening? The female uterus, the uterus of the female is very weak actually. So because of that, what happened? We will be getting the bed rest, as in my case also, since the uterus was not able to hold the child, and because of that the bed rest was given. Now the reason of giving bed rest was like, if we stand and if we keep on walking, if we keep on roaming here and then what happened, the child can come out actually, through the vagina. So because of that, what they will be saying, to do the bed rest so that the child will be there in that same position only and it cannot move out of the body. And once actually the proper body is formed, then only they ask to move slowly and gradually. See, as you can see in this picture also, now you can imagine the position also. So this is a child in the uterus, how the child will be. And here this is the cervix, and at the end there will be the vagina, right? So if they are not giving the bed rest, in that case, the child, since that fetus will be very, very small in the initial time, they can move out also. So the mother's body is designed to undertake the development of the child. So mothers actually, they have got this kind of the advantages where they can carry the child for the 9 months, and then afterwards also they can take care of that. An embryo, a development stage which is nurtured in the uterus. Now, in the uterus, once this fertilization happened, once the zygote is formed, what happened? They will be getting all the kind of the nourishment, or they will be dividing, and then they will be growing in the uterus only. And in mammals, we call them as a fetus. So once they start growing, we call them as a fetus. Now, placenta, it is a disc-like tissue which is embedded in the uterine wall. So on the wall, suppose this is the uterus here, like this, they will be here present. So this is actually the part, like this is the uterus, right? So here on the lining of this uterus wall, the baby will be. So it is embedded in the uterine wall. It contains villi on the embryo side of the tissue. So on the embryo part, what do they have? They have the finger-like projection called as a villi, and this villi also will be increasing the surface area for the absorption of more food. So the child also needs food, right? The mother is eating. You might have heard, like, if anyone is pregnant, so during that time they should eat lot of food they should eat, because they are not eating for themselves, but also they should eat for the child, right? So how do the child will be getting the food? Through the umbilical cord, through the placenta they will be getting, and through that they will be getting all the kinds of nutrients. And if they wanted to have the more food, then definitely they should increase the surface area. And how the surface area will be increased? It will be increased through the villi. So embryo gets nutrition from the mother's blood with the help of this special tissue called as a placenta. On the mother's side are the blood spaces which surround the villi. So they have the blood spaces which have the villi on them. This provides a larger surface area for the glucose and oxygen to pass from mother to the embryo. So because of this, Willie, what happened? The child will be getting more oxygen, they will be getting more glucose. Fine. But now, if in case, like if it is a twin case, then in that case, what happened? These Willies are present in the same number, but the division will be there. The oxygen demand will distribute. The food will distribute. So maybe one child will get more, one child will get less. Maybe one child will get more appropriate amount of the breathe, one child will not get appropriate amount of breathe. So because of that, after some time, after some months, what happened? There will be a difference of the growth actually. So that is what happened in the case of the twins. So developing embryo will also generate waste substances. So as I told you, what do? They will generate the waste substances, which can be removed by transferring them into the mother's blood through the placenta. So they can be removed through the placenta by transferring the waste material into the blood of the mother. Then next thing, again a very important term, gestation period or the pregnancy. In a very simple word, gestation period is a period from the day 1 till the day end of the childbirth. Fine. So the day 1, when the egg start forming, when the egg has fertilized, and till the date of the birth of the child, that is called as a gestation period. So the development of child inside the mother body take approximately 9 months. The child is born as a result of the rhythmic contraction of the muscle in the uterus, which is also called as a labor pain. So what happened? This area actually, this area of the mother, which is uterus, it will start paining a lot. Why it pains? Because continuously here the contraction will be there. Like this, the contraction will be there. And see, the body is actually a fixed kind of the structure we have, right? Now, if something will start contracting in a much amount, definitely it will create a lot of pain. And because of that, ultimately, if the child isn't correct, this is the correct position of the child actually. The head should be at the lower side and the legs should be at the upper side. Fine. So if the position of what they will be doing, the doctor will be actually using the machines, and through that they will be understanding where the child is. And if the child is in the correct position, the normal can be done, normal delivery can be done. If it is not, then in that case, what they will be doing, they will be doing the C-section, which is also called as cesarean. And in the case of the cesarean, here on the upper part of the uterus, there will be they will be doing a cut like stuff. They will be cutting this layer of the skin of the female, and imagine 7 layers they will be cutting. Not only one layers. If they are going for the C-section or the operation they are going for, in that case, what they will be doing, they will be cutting the skin part, and the 7 different layers they will be cutting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this, 7 different layers they have to cut, and then only they will be taking the child out of the mother's body. So this is how actually it becomes very difficult for the mother to recover from this cesarean kind of thing, because 7 layers will take a year actually to recover. So that is the reason that mother who has undergone the C-section will have the pain. Frequently they will have the pain in the lower abdomen part, or the upper of the uterus part. They will have the severe pain. So understood, children, what is placenta, how it is connected to the whole thing? Sumukh, Dhriti, Ionija, Moksha, Sudhamshu, Siddhi, Arav, Darya, Rizwana. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
So this is how actually it happens. And once the 7 layers are being cut, the doctors will be taking them out. And when they do this process, whatever the amount of the water content is there, it will all of a sudden will come out actually. So since you are you are dissecting the body of someone, so definitely whatever things are there inside the body of them, it will start flowing out. And that is why they should be very, very fast in the whole process, because if everything comes out through that cut, then it becomes difficult for the person to survive. So within hardly 5 minutes, this whole process can be done. I was thinking it will be taking much time, but no, within 5 minutes everything will be done. And ultimately what is left is like your kids and your Then umbilical cord, very again important thing. So once the child comes out, actually, still that moment also the child will be connected to the mother actually, and that connection is the umbilical cord, and through this umbilical cord, the feelings are being shared by the mother to the fetus, and fetus will be sharing the feelings to the mother also. So that is why we say that usually the children, they are very close to their mother. The reason is because of this umbilical cord, because almost like 9 months they were in the body of mother, and this umbilical cord were helping to exchange their views, their ideas, and that is the reason the grandparents will be saying that always think positive, always feel positive, always be happy, because whatever the mother they will be thinking, they will be doing, that will be directly connecting to the fetus. So umbilical cord is the connection between the fetus and the placenta, and it is usually cut to the other time of the childbirth. So as soon as the child comes out of the body of mother, then they will be cutting it out. Now, this is what actually happened when the egg is fertilized. But there is also a second case. When the egg is not fertilized, in that case, what will happen? So if the egg is not fertilized, it lives for 1 to few days. Again, if they ask you this question, the proper answer you should write. For the three marker question, the 3 points you should write it there. So if the egg is not fertilized, it lives for 1 to few days. The ovary releases one egg every month. The uterus also prepares itself every month to receive a fertilized egg. So see, your exams are coming, right? Who will be preparing mentally yourself that we should write the exam, we have to prepare. Same way, in the body of the female, the ovary will always be ready to get that fertilized egg. But every time it is not possible to give the fertilized egg. In that case, if they do not receive that fertilized egg, what do? They will be removing this lining. Actually, this lining will be removed, which is called as uterus lining. This lining will shed or you can say remove, and because of that removing or shedding of this uterus lining, the blood will start coming out of it. So the lining of the uterus will become thick and spongy so as to nourish the embryo if fertilization has taken place. If the egg is not fertilized, in that case, the lining of the uterus will slowly breaks and come out to the vagina as the blood and the mucus. So blood, we all know what is that. The mucus is basically a little, thick kind of structure, thick red structure. It will start coming along with the blood. And that is what we called as the menses or the menstrual flow, or we call as them the periods also. So menstruation, if it comes for the 5 marks, this you should write. So the release of blood and the mucus occurs after every month, which is like 28 days around. It usually lasts for 2 to 8 days. So it can be for 2 days, it can be for some person, some female for 5 days also. It can be for 8 days also. But if it is like more than that, then maybe definitely the problem is there in that person's body. So girls should use good sanitary napkin during this period and maintain proper hygiene. It starts from the puberty as menarche. So first time when they get this, actually, that is called as the menarche. So the first flow of the blood in the form of the menstrual cycle, that is called as a menarche. It is a beginning marks the fertile life of a female. So through that, it shows that the female is capable enough to give birth to the child. The menstrual cycle is a series of changes a woman's body goes through to prepare itself for pregnancy. So through this menstrual cycle, what happened? So many other things are also depending. So how the birth will be there or not. So if the menstrual cycle is not happening, then the female cannot give birth actually. So definitely they should have this process so that the egg can be fertilized. About once a month, the uterus grow a new lining, which is called as the endometrium, to get ready for a fertilized egg. When there is no fertilized egg to start a pregnancy, the uterus will shed its lining, and this is the monthly menstrual bleeding, which is also called a menstrual period that women have from their early teenage until menopause. So menopause means the last cycle of the menstrual. That is called as the menopause, and it around 50 years. So see, earlier it was somewhere 50 years the female used to have this menopause, but nowadays some females will have menopause at 35, some will have 40, some will have 42. So because of the food habitats, these are being reduced actually. And how it can have the negative impact? So if the menstrual menopause, if it comes early in the female, it can lead to different problem. It can lead to cancer also. It can lead to other kind of the internal kind of the cyst problem. They can have the formation of the cyst also. That is why the more late it will be menopause condition, the more safe the women will be. But we all are eating a junk kind of food, so that is why it's like coming early. So the menstrual cycle starts from day 1 of bleeding to the day of the next cycle of bleeding. Although the average cycle is 28 days, it is normal to have a cycle that is shorter or longer. So it is not important that a fixed 28 days a female will be getting it. It can be 25 also, it can be 30 also, it can be 31 also. Girls usually start having menstrual periods between the age of 11 to 14 years. The hormone estrogen and progesterone plays the biggest role in how the uterus changes during each cycle. Estrogen builds up the lining of the uterus. So this estrogen and progesterone basically are helpful for this menstrual cycle. So this estrogen, what they will be doing, they will be helping in building up the lining of uterus, whereas the progesterone, they will be increases after an ovary releases the egg and at the middle of the cycle. This helps the estrogen keeps the lining thick and ready for the fertilized egg. And drop in progesterone along with the estrogen can cause the lining to break down, and it is where the menstrual period will start. So that is why what the doctors will be doing during the time of the pregnancy, in the initial time, in the first trimester, what do? They will be giving some medicine so that the amount of this estrogen and progesterone is appropriate. It does not go down, because if it goes down, then menstrual cycle will occur. If menstrual cycle will occur, then the child will not be able to be conceived, right? So that is why those medicines will be given on the initial stage, so that the amount can remain high and the child can be there in the body of that mother. And these medicines are, one medicine, it'll be costly. It'll be like somewhere one small medicine will be somewhere 200 rupees. And in a day, they should have at least 2 to 4 medicines. So imagine, so if it is 200 rupees and 800 rupees per day, they have to spend for this estrogen and progesterone medicines so as to increase their level in the body. So that is how the menstrual cycle will be working. So any doubt, children? And turn on the videos, children. Why the videos are off? Turn on the videos.
No doubt.
Okay, turn on the videos, children. So now we are just remaining with the last topic, which is about the reproductive health. And reproductive health is actually important. So as to have 2 things actually. One is for the family planning, and the second is to have a safe sex, right? Sometimes what happen, we are not aware that person whom we are going to get married is actually safe or not. Be it a male, be it a female, it can be anything actually. So that is why nowadays, like here in India, it is not being started, but in the foreign countries, before going ahead for the marriage, kind of thing, rituals and all, they will be going to the doctor and they will be having the checkup of both actually, the male and the female also, so as to check, like, they do not have any kind of the diseases, or they are fertile enough to give birth to the young ones. Because what happens ultimately, if maybe, in the later stage after the marriage, if you got to know that the female has some problem or the male has some problem, in that case, might be that disease can be transferred to the other person also, right? If a male has a disease, then it can be transferred to the female. If the female has, then it can be transferred to the male also, right? Because during the sexual intercourse, what is happening? The exchange is happening. The exchange of those gametes are happening. So that is why, for these 2 reasons, for the safer sex as well as for the maintaining the kind of the healthy kind of the reproduction, it is needed, and for the family planning also. So since, like, everywhere now it is happening, like, especially those people who are not, who are poor, actually what they are doing, they will be giving birth continuously, 1 2 3 4, so many kids they will have. So it can create a problem because if the population will increase, then ultimately demand for the food will increase, demand for the land will increase. So everything will be increased. So as to have a kind of a proper thing, a family planning is important. That is why some of the states in our India also have started following the family planning. That if in a family they have only one child, then they will be getting somewhere 10% off, 20% off in the school fees. So like this kind of different policies have been started in some of the states and all, so as to appreciate this family planning kind of thing. But anyhow, it depends upon the family how they wanted to have it. So Sudhamshu, Siddhi, Rizwana, Dhriti, Sumukh, Ionija and Moksha, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I think on Thursday you had your science exam, right? Half yearly exam. Moksha, Eunija has written it. Dharya, Sumukh has wrote it. Rizwana has written it. What about Siddhi, Sudhamshu, and Riti? What was the reason for not writing it? Yes, Riti?
Ma'am, I'm not well for a few days.
Okay. Okay. Sudhamshu, why you did not write that half yearly exam?
Ma'am, I had some extra work from my school.
What you had?
Some extra work from my school.
Okay. Siddhi, why you have not written that exam?
Ma'am, I started my exams, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay. So I have checked all the papers. I think most probably tomorrow we'll have a meeting with your parents also to talk about your science result. I'll not be calling everybody to all together. It will be one-on-one kind of thing where I can interact with your parents, and you should definitely be there. Okay, it's not like only I'm talking to your parents. No, I want you to be there because you should understand what problem you did in your answer sheet. Fine. So most probably tomorrow, or might be maybe. And I'll not be keeping it during your time like 6 o'clock. I'll be keeping somewhere 5 or 4:30 or 5 between 5 to 6 somewhere. Okay, so be ready for that. And it's not scolding kind of thing. Don't take it in the negative way. Take it in the positive way. It will be giving you the idea how to attend the paper actually. Fine. So the way how you have written the paper, I'll be explaining you how you should write it, what is positive, what is negative, and how you have to work on, which part you have to work on. So all those things will be discussed fine during that time of session, and definitely it'll be kind of short PTM also. Anything else, children? Okay. Okay, so I will not call it as PTM. I'll call it something else then. A counseling session then maybe. Okay, children, then today you have your English exam also. So write that English exam and submit the paper on the WhatsApp, and also kindly share your answer sheet with me also. And make sure when you submit your answer sheet, your PDF name should be your name. So that because we are not going to check it, some other person from outside they are going to check it because they are not aware who is that person. So once they send us back, we all should also know that this was given by that person, right? So make sure that you write. Triti, in that case, better start revising. And if in case you feel like you have some doubt or something to ask, do let me know anytime. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And Ayunija, you have your exam, I guess, on Friday, right? So revise your chapters, whatever chapters are there, and you have just 2 days left, right? So start revising them, and don't. I will not be suggesting you to go for any kind of the material and all. Revise from the notes, revise from the content, revise from the NCRT book, right? and then only you should do it. Yes, everybody should write actually. Siddhi. So it will give you an idea actually how to attend the paper, how to write it, all those, things will be told you to. Adriti, which chapters are coming in the exam?
Ma'am, life processes and reproduction.
Okay. And physics?
Light, human eye, and some part of electricity.
Okay. And chemistry?
Chemical reactions and equation, acid, bases, and salt, or metal, non-metal, ionic compounds.
And this is the half yearly exam, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So life process and how do organism, I think you will be getting full marks. I think, right? So,
Hopefully,
but
yes.
practice for the numericals and practice also the chemical reactions actually, which are very, very important. The marks where, the marks get reduced is during that chemistry part where the writing of the reaction becomes difficult. And in the physics, practice the numerical, okay? That is very, very important to score the marks. And if in case, kids like those who don't have actually enough time, but yes, you wanted to score good. If you don't know how to solve the numerical, in that case, for time being, leave the numerical and focus on the, theory part. Because if you are focusing more on numerical part, then you might lose marks in the theory part, right? So if you have less time, focus more on theory and little for your numerical part. This is not for the board exam, only for right now, as you have less time. Fine.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, children, then others can write the exam, right? English exam, you can start writing now. Take a 5 minutes break and start writing. And remaining children, you can focus on your, I think you have the maths class also, so you cannot start writing now, right? So you can have a break for some time and then you can work for that. Okay, children, then thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.